Here are my UFC Nashville main card predictions. So first fight, Junior Tafa versus Tuco Tacos. Tafa's explosive, willing to slug it out. And while he doesn't have much of a ground game, Tacos isn't an elite wrestler by any means. I think these two throw down and Tafa gets the better of it. So I got Junior Tafa by a first round KO. Next, Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. Petrino hasn't lived up to expectations, getting submitted by Anthony Smith and finished by Dustin Jacoby late. But I still do think he's the more complete striker than Lane in this matchup. So I got Petrino by a second round TKO. Next, Nate the Train versus Morgan Charrier. Landwehr will put the pressure early, but Charrier, he can land his counters, mix in some grappling. And overall, I do think he outworks Landwehr in this fight. So I got Charrier by decision. Next, Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. Kattar's on a very visible decline right now. Still a decent boxer, but slower and a lot more hittable. And I think Garcia lands the heavier shots in this fight. So I got Garcia by decision. On to the co-main event, Wonderboy Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim. Now, Wonderboy, always a tricky striker at range, with his kicks, his outside striking. But I do think Bonfim takes this fight to the ground. He won't strike with Wonderboy. And I think he'll use his BJJ to his advantage there. And I got Bonfim by a second round submission. And lastly, the main event, Derek Lewis versus Talison Teixeira. Now, both men have a lot of power. Lewis can land at any moment. But I do think the big difference in this fight is Teixeira's speed, and obviously he's the much younger guy. So if I had to bank on somebody landing the big shot early, I got Teixeira by a first round KO.